But let's talk about your last fight. You were very hard on yourself immediately after. I don't know, people were saying stuff to you, but you kind of like, just wanted to bear the whole weight and just be like, I lost. It is what it is. Yeah, like the pats on the back
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
matter
yeah.
and whatnot. But that was a few months ago now. How are the emotions this far removed from February?
Yeah, man. Like you're right. Like at the time, it's like, yeah, look, even though we thought we won and all that type of stuff. At the
So
same
close,
time, I was
so
like,
close.
yeah, I know. Like it was a close fight, and I was just, yeah. I think I could have done some things better as well. So I'm always going to be hard on myself. I'm always like, even when I win and things go well, but there's still always things that I'm going to keep an eye on, and I'm always going to be. I'm my hardest critic. Most champions are, I guess. I know because everyone was like, "Oh no, that's bullshit." At the end of the day, I'm just more devastated that I didn't get my hand raised, whether it was bullshit or not. I can, sort of whinge about it, but at the same time, I didn't get my hand raised. So, like, I had to just deal with that part. But at the same time, the pats of the back, as hard as it was to take that, it made the process of losing a lot easier as well. Everyone, thinking that I'm champ anyway, and like,
Your stock
people the
only went
way
up.
the stock went up, like so it's the conversations aren't really like I lost, if that makes sense. So it does help. I'll be lying to say if it didn't, but again, me being that competitor that I am, that's always still gonna burn me a little bit.
Can you touch on some of those things
Um,
that you thought that you could have done better?
I mean, there was a few things. Look, it's a tricky one for me in that situation. Was obviously you got to respect his wrestling, right? Yeah, so he's very patient. He's a very patient fighter. We know that. So he's either he'll sit back and he'll wait. Like that's why he was waiting for the counters and waiting for the shots. And I knew that he was waiting, for me to come in. But at the same time, even though I knew he was waiting for me, and being very patient and just waiting for me to come in to either shoot or strike, even though I knew that, it was something that I still had to try and force. Just purely to still thinking that it's all good. I'll be good enough to still make him miss, still catch him, which I was obviously, which he landed a few times. He definitely got a couple of good shots, but it's pretty obvious that I probably could have not worried too much about the takedowns. That would have slowed the gas tank. So I could have fought it at a different range. I could have did a few things. It's just awkward to talk about because you don't want to give too much away. But
Yeah.
I honestly believe if I could literally do the 5 rounds again straight after that fight happened, it'd be a completely different fight, and it would have been I'm not going to say a walk in the park. He's a very good fighter, but I know I got his number.
Even though you didn't win the fight officially, you still did things that our best lightweight contenders couldn't do to Islam. You did something to him that people in the weight class above you couldn't even do. So taking all that, like how much new confidence do you have, especially knowing that your next fight's going to be at 145 against a smaller guy, and then you've just almost defeated and made Islam Makhachev look like something that no one else has ever made him look like, like a human, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously it does help with the confidence a little bit, but I believe I could do that before the fight, right? I
Yeah.
believed that it was. I believed in my ability and my, the fight IQ and my understanding of the game and the understanding of these positions that would be good. And then obviously preparation and everything like that. But I mean, I just didn't know how good he was. Obviously he was really good and I gave him the benefit of the doubt. So it went how I thought it would go. I knew that, he probably he will take me down, but I will get back up. I'll be very hard to submit. I knew that. Like, so he did live up to the hype. Again, a lot of people just thought that there's no way. So everyone would think my confidence would be up there because they didn't expect me to do that, but I did. So like, everything's pretty similar, if that makes sense. But
Yeah.
it does give you confidence when you start looking at everyone else, right? Other people that are going to try and out grapple me or try and,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it goes,
wrestle me.
yeah.
It, then you start being like, okay, now I can be, I'm not a cocky type of guy, but I can be a little confident. This guy's going to struggle to throw me around.
Yeah, yeah,
This
yeah.
guy can't. So it definitely does. But at the same time, I didn't sit there going, oh, wow, I've all of a sudden got this superhuman strength. I believe I always had that strength.
Yeah,
I believe I always had that fight IQ and that understanding of the game.
yeah.
It was just the world got to see it.
Yeah, I guess it goes both ways too, because you're saying that you knew that you could do that to him, so your confidence didn't rise that much. But then let's say the guys in 145 that were like, I mean, that were saying, Alex is going to get tossed around, or Alex, they didn't think that you could do that. I mean, these are your future opponents in featherweight. And then after they see what you just did and what you almost so close. I mean, up until the point where they announced Islam won, everyone was like, Volk had done it. So these future featherweight contenders, looking at what you just did to Islam, in their head, they might be, it would definitely be like, when they're up next against you, you're not just some featherweight king. You're a featherweight king, also potentially champ. You're that good. So that could be also a new barrier, in their minds when they come across the octagon and you're facing them.
Yeah, I agree. You'd think that they'll be like, oh wow, this is a tough fight. But if I was in their shoes and thinking the same thing, with my mindset, my mentality, I would still look at whatever I can and and have trust in my preparation, my team, and believe I can do it. So again, I just think different to a lot of these guys, maybe. So who knows? But you're right. I think they probably thought I was going to get squashed, and they said no, I didn't. They're like, oh, far out. So especially some of the grapplers, right? Imagine some of the wrestling grapplers that are in my division being like, oh, yeah, I reckon I could do it. Guys like, well, I mean, Aljamain reckons he could submit me. He would have seen that and be like, oh, shit. Then you've got guys, I don't know, who else? Bryce Mitchell. There's a few of them, I'm sure.
I mean, the first thing Islam said in his post-fight interview was like he didn't think you'd be that strong. I mean, that was the first thing he said. So, I mean, if he's saying that and you're coming up from a smaller division and everything, I mean, yeah, the featherweight contenders, they're going to have to be, I mean, they should have been hitting the gym that night after that fight.
Yeah.
What would you say are the main differences from a featherweight training camp and a lightweight training camp at this level, now that you've done it and you've processed it and thought about it?
So I'm already, so I've even talked to Geordie, the fight dietitian. I was like, I think I want to be a little bit lighter. Earlier, just so I can move. And already, because I'm lighter now, like compared to the lightweight camp, because I had to do, a lot of the strength program, the bulking, just so much wrestling, and I just didn't feel as fast, right? So I was like, oh man, it was right till the last couple of weeks where I started bringing that weight down a little bit, where I was like, oh, okay, I can move a little bit better now, you know what I mean? I was a bit slower than I would like, where now, featherweight already, the sessions are that little bit easier, even though they're the same sessions, not carrying that extra 3-4 kilograms. Obviously you're sharper and it doesn't beat up your body as much. So I was feeling it during that camp, pushing that weight and then doing so much grappling and so much wrestling, being in bad positions and constantly fighting out of them. At the end of the week, I'd feel it. I was feeling it right up. It wasn't until I started losing that bit of weight, the last couple, even though intensity was probably higher, my body could deal with it a bit better because, my weight was at a more sensible weight that I'm used to and that I like. We're already now, I'm doing some of these sessions already. I already did a meat grinder yesterday, one of our hard fight simulators. And very, very happy with how I'm moving already. My explosiveness and everything and the whole way through the rounds. Obviously, we build it up, but the way I was moving through that first meat grinder compared to even other camp, especially last camp, I was definitely wasn't moving this quick and this explosive. So it's good. It's good to be back at featherweight.
Talking about, last question I'll ask about Islam, talking about a potential future rematch. Does the thought of, fighting Islam in Abu Dhabi, in his backyard with all his supporters, and, you're the one getting booed now instead of him getting booed, and the storyline as well of almost getting it done, but then now you're going behind enemy lines to try and put a stamp on it. Does that storyline excite you and that potential rematch in Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, 100% it does. It does. It does excite me. Obviously, just the rematch itself and the challenge of getting that champ belt, that all excites me. But then in his backyard and all that, that just adds to the story. And I love that because I know I'm not going to be phased. How many times have we got to fight overseas? And, I'm fighting guys that fan favorites like Max Holloway and things like that. Even Zombies. Obviously, I've been booed plenty of times. I just end up using that as fuel. So you can cheer for me. I'm going to use it as fuel. I've said this before. You boo at me. I'll have that chip on my shoulder. I'm going to use it as fuel. That's just how I'm programmed. You know what I mean? I'll find a way to get myself motivated and make it work every single time. You know what I mean? They talk about being positive and, and moving on. And, I'm all about that. You know what I mean? Again, these guys are going to try and use it as excuses. Me, I'm probably
Fuel.
going to use it. I'm going to use it as fuel. You know what I mean? And then you won't hear me be like, "Oh, I did it in his," I'm not going to care about that because I know I'm going to be able to embrace everything, embrace the booze. If I get booed, you know what I mean? Like whatever, it's been done before. I think other people will appreciate it more. So again, the story of everyone going, "Oh, now he's going over to Abu Dhabi." They're going to talk about longer rehydrating times or whatever it is. Whatever you can. Have all these excuses because you fought in Australia, even though we travel every single time we fight. Like, you know what I mean? You're making it as if it's some crazy thing you did, even though we do that all the time. I'm going to show you, I'll do it in your background, all that, and that shit ain't going to matter. I
Yeah.
don't care how big you get or whatever it is. Like, you're bigger than me. That's that. You've always been bigger than me. Oh, I knew you were going to be bigger than me. That's fine. You can be bigger than me in Abu Dhabi. It ain't going to matter. You can have the people cheering. That ain't gonna give you your breath back when I'm smothering you and in your face again. So
Agreed.
that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
So,
First off, I'd say congratulations on being the headline of the 2023 International Fight Week. That's another notch on your belt.
thank you.
You had a amazing 2022. You've already started 2023 off strong, coming off the back of Perth. Now you're about to do International Fight Week, on track to fight 3 times this year. Looks like your 2023 is going to be even greater than your 2022. So, congratulations on that.